Hello, I'm Craig Barton and welcome to this Tips for Teachers video. Now, a few years ago on my Diagnostic Questions website, we started experimenting by adding a confidence rating to our questions. So every time a student answers a question on Diagnostic Questions, they decide what they think the right answer is, we prompt them to give an explanation, and then we say, how confident do you feel in your answer? And when we analysed results from over 10,000 students, we found two really interesting things about getting this sense of confidence before a student knows whether they're right or not. So the first is, there is a big old spread between students' perception of their understanding as measured by their confidence score and their actual understanding as measured by the proportion of questions they actually get right. There's definitely a positive correlation. The more confident you are, the more likely you are to be right. But look at the spread. Crucially, we've all taught kids who kind of live up here, the ones who tell us they know everything but they don't have a flipping clue what's going on. But we've also all taught kids who live down here who are really low confident but actually seem to understand a lot more than they think they do. So that's one thing, but that's not what I wanted to talk to you about, because we found something else. And that is, if we prompt students to indicate how confident they are, and then we retest them later on the same area of mathematics after we've corrected any errors, then what we found was that the questions where the students were more confident were more likely to be corrected than the questions where they were less confident. And remember, this is all errors, these are all mistakes. So high confidence errors were more likely to be corrected than low confidence errors. And that's after we controlled for measures of prior attainment and so on. Now this finding we wrote up and we published in September of 2021, and it's got a name. And it's called, based on the work of Janet Metcalfe, the hypercorrection effect. And the hypercorrection effect says this: errors endorsed, I love that word, with higher confidence are more likely to be corrected on a final test than errors endorsed with lower confidence. Now, why is this the case? And the way I think about this is like a cognitive shock. You say, I'm super confident in that, you find out you're wrong, and you're like, whoa, okay, and maybe you're prompted to pay a bit more attention to what's going on, and anyway, you're more likely to be able to correct that error in the future. Now the question is, how can we use this practically? Because it's not just on Diagnostic Questions. So I use this a lot in low stakes quizzes. So here's an example of Oliver's low stakes quiz here. And I want to draw your attention to question 3 and question 4. Now in the boxes, Oliver's been prompted to indicate how confident he feels on a scale from 0 to 10. So question 3, simultaneous equations, Oliver, he knows he don't have a clue what's going on there. But question 4 on long division, Oliver reckons he's absolutely nailed this one, but he's made mistakes in both of them, or he's got both of them wrong. Now, where do I want Oliver directing his attention when he goes through it? I want him looking at question 4. It's his highest confident error. That's where he's going to get his biggest bang for his buck when he does his reviewing. So what I say to students is, okay, when you've finished your quiz, your homework, whatever it may be, and I'll show you some more examples in a second, before you find out your answers, either I mark them or they mark them themselves, indicate how confident you feel. Then when you've marked your work, start thinking hard about your highest confident errors first. It gives students a definite focus of where to direct their attention to. I'll show you another example. I really like this one. I was lucky enough to be in a year 11 class and the students were working through a mock exam, a practice paper. And this had caught my eye. So this student had been working on a volume question and I'd spotted the mistake they'd made. It's a triangular prism and they hadn't divided by 2 when working out the area of the face. But notice this girl is super confident, 10 out of 10 on this one here. So I wanted to know what happened when she found out that she was wrong. And it was brilliant, right? You should have seen her face. Her jaw dropped, she did a little bit of a double take, she asked her mate just to see what was going on, and then she was frantically jotting down and correcting. You could almost see the cognitive shock happening. It's really good to help focus kids' attention and get them kind of reviewing their answer with a bit of structure. I also love this from Ben Gordon. I think this is a brilliant idea. So this is a practice paper, a mock exam that was taken home for homework. And what Ben asked his students to do was, before they hand it in, once they've answered all their questions, indicate how confident they feel about each of their answers, crucially before they know whether they're right or wrong. And you can see here this student, 8 out of 10 confidence on a percentage question. It's a reverse percentage question. The student hadn't realised that, they've got it wrong. But what Ben did, which was really clever, was instead of doing the thing that we've all done, which is write reams of feedback that the kids don't pay the slightest bit of attention to, Ben said, okay, here's your paperback, here's your mark. What I want you to do is find your 3 highest confident errors and see if you can correct them. So then there's a definite focus for students' work. Now you can do this in loads of different places. Low stakes quizzes, classwork, homework, mock exams. Crucially, anywhere where students have answered something before they know whether that answer is right or wrong. And crucially, once they've marked it, that feedback in terms of knowing what the right or wrong answer is has to come pretty quickly for this hypercorrection effect to kick in. Final thing I'll say on this, dealing with the dreaded 5. What do I mean by this? Well, if you have a confidence scale from 1 to 10, kids love putting a 5. If your confidence scale's from 1 to 5, they love putting a 3 because they know if they put a 1, it doesn't look good, but if they put a 5, they're kind of setting themselves up for a bit of a fall. If you find this, that kids are kind of converging to the mean, what I suggest you do is temporarily scrap confidence scores and just say put a star or an asterisk next to the 3 questions you feel most confident about, because that's what we're interested in. Where's their highest level of confidence? So there you go. And was that a useful tip? Could you make use of that in your subject? How would you need to tweak it to make it work for you? Comment below this video. And I'll tell you what, if you do me a big favour, like this video and subscribe to the Tips for Teachers YouTube channel, I'd be eternally grateful. Visit tipsforteachers.co.uk for more stuff like this. Thanks so much for watching.